And I think that's a key point, Shannon, is that I like that it was really more about coding to your DNA. Like this was your DNA, and you're going, okay, I'm going to make some decisions here that don't even square with my DNA.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you were running this company that was, virtual help, then you're going, wait a second, we know how this actually works and what the traps are. What the downside, upside, all that stuff. So then you're able to go, okay, well, we can do this. So when you decided, okay, we're going to do that and stay that way, what were some intentional things that you began to think about? Because you write about culture. I mean, your new book is Virtual Culture. So take us back to those days. You're looking at land, and at some point, I guess you tell the consultant, right, Shannon, hey, we don't need you.
Yeah, we've decided not to do this. And a lot of it was just talking to our team members and being realistic about how much we would actually use that space. And, if you're growing as an organization, you guys have experienced this, you grow out of your space very quickly. And so even what we could afford at the time wouldn't be scalable.
Right.
So we basically told them, thanks for all of the due diligence. You helped us make a decision to not pursue this. And we really decided just to double down on building our culture virtually and leveraging all of the tools that are out there to make that happen and investing more in our team than in the infrastructure.
Okay, this is great. This is where I want to camp out for a while.
Great.
Because those that are listening in here right now, Bryan, Shannon, they don't have to be a virtual company, but we talk to people all the time who have multiple offices in different locations. So what works for virtual culture and what's worked for you all can work when you have multiple offices. You're not like Ramsey Solutions where everybody is on one site. So let's talk about some practical things that you have done. You guys can popcorn off each other. I'm going to really throw the ball to you because I want to know, what did you do? How did you invest? Where did you invest? What does culture look like now as a result of saying, we're going to be intentional to create virtual culture?
Well, we created tools. We had to have tools to work in a virtual environment. So you can't have antiquated or hard-based technologies that are installed on machines. You got to do web-based technologies. So we said, what technologies are we going to use corporately for organization? So we invested heavily in that. Enterprise Dropbox is not cheap, but you kind of got to create a system for those things, and then just say everybody has to use these. That's part of scale. Another one is with our team. We believe that culture is not an office. It's actually just common vision. It's the desire to grow something together. And so we tell stories. Like we say, and I know you guys do this here too, it's really cool. This is how we're moving the dial on our mission. This is why we're here. It has nothing to do with coming into an office or the fact that you stay at home. We can all be united around these stories of how we're serving our customers in different capacities. And then I was thinking also about the Facebook, how we leverage that too.
It was kind of a repository for conversation for us. We had a closed Facebook page for our employees, and then also we have one for our contractors where they can collaborate and share stories and ask for suggestions. So that became a platform for community. You guys do the high lows, right?
Absolutely.
And we do too on Facebook. It's now Workplace, which is Facebook, Facebook's business version. But as the technologies evolve, we're always looking for ways to incorporate them.
Was that a regimented highs lows? I mean, was it a certain time where everybody's heading to the Facebook page on Friday at 10:30 and we're going to do this?
Yeah.
So there was structure.
Oh, for sure.
And it is, companies have to be intentional about their culture, whether they're physically together or whether they're working in remote locations or whether everybody's working from home. And so even though we're not together, we're very regimented about our meeting cadence. Our leadership team gets together every week on Zoom for meetings, every quarter for offsites. Our company, we get everybody together 4 times a year, physically, face-to-face, in addition to, individual teams having meeting rhythm. So it's not haphazard because we're disparate. You almost have to be more intentional because you're not going to walk down the hall and see somebody and think, oh, I meant to tell them that. And it started with Bryan and I, in those early days. And even though he and I are the only ones that have ever worked in the same place together, like in our basement, we had to be really intentional to say, no, let's meet. Let's not just assume that we know what's going on because we're around each other. Let's have an agenda, have intentional meetings, and be focused on what we discuss. And that has replicated across our business.
Something else that was very intentional too is we decided in Atlanta that our corporate team, so our employees, would be in Atlanta. So that if we had to circle the wagons, I wasn't putting someone on an airplane from San Diego, and I couldn't afford that. We couldn't afford that at the time. So that's just worked out that our corporate team is in Atlanta, and we can all get there in an hour for a meeting if we had to. And then they collaborate. They'll have sales meetings or account management meetings. They have that at their disposal. We use Rome, which is kind of like a co-work location place in Atlanta, and that works really well for us. So that's kind of our in-person office when we need that.
Another follow-up on this, because I'm trying to think of the listener who's going, okay, that's interesting. Accountability. When, again, you've got a leader in one location and people that they are leading in a different location. What has worked for you all as it relates to accountability? Or maybe another way of saying it's not just accountability, but just quality communication, so that it is virtual, but they're in sync.
Well, I think, one of the things that we try and find with people that work in organizations, they value working from home. And a lot of them have come from like a traditional corporate America type of environment where they've already kind of had like a salaried role, and it's about results. It's not about punching a clock. So accountability, we take something from the playbook at EntreLeadership with our KRAs. We have KRAs, everybody's got one in the company. And so we make it really clear that this is what winning looks like in your role. And then we tie off to that, and our managers kind of hold them accountable in that way. But it's the type of people that we're looking for. When you have somebody that works from home, they value their autonomy, so they respect that, and they're result oriented. They know that when they're done with this one thing or these tasks that they have to do, they've got to go and jump in carpool and get the kids, or whatever those things are that they need, to do. So it really starts with finding those people that value working from home, and are result oriented.
But then you still have processes,
for sure,
where that leader is kind of developing their own thing. There's a lot of leeway to just get the job done.
We measure everything, too, so it becomes very clear if somebody's missing the mark and not delivering on what they're supposed to. I mean, Basecamp is a widely adopted tool where you're tracking projects and with due dates. And so if somebody's got something due on Friday and we don't get it till Monday, it's very clear that they weren't accountable for that. And so we have those conversations early and often.
So the book, Virtual Culture, I want to call out a couple things in the book. The chapter that jumped out to me, I was like, what is going on here? It's very provocative, and I love provocative chapter titles. I love provocative talks and thoughts. Let's bury Henry Ford. That's chapter 1. Of course, I got to call that out. What in the world? He's already dead and gone. Why would you want to bury him again?
A great American, impacted our nation. I think he stands for, in a lot of ways, the industrial age. And we're just seeing that there's a shift in how people work today. Virtual, remote, whatever kind of fancy word you want to throw at it. And if you think of like a traditional, workplace factory, when they were building cars in the early days, what they did was they'd put their workers in the middle and they put their managers around them. And if you think about corporate office space today, what do? You put your workers in the middle and you put your managers around them. And what's happening is there's a group of, there's two ends of the spectrum. There's large corporations saying, we can't get leaders to come in anymore to an office because they've already had a job, meaning they're paid well and they work off their back deck. So there's a leadership deficit growing in bigger corporations today. And then you've got startups saying, we don't need an office. Like we just can get stuff done globally. And we can have a great team, we can have something of meaning. And so there's two ends of the spectrum kind of pushing on what really was a kind of a creation from the industrial age. So Henry Ford, amazing person, but just felt like it was time to acknowledge that times are changing.
They are changing for some and then not for others, because I think this is important. I'll put you both on the spot because I know you can handle it, but I think we have to address it. I mean, here we are at Ramsey Solutions. You guys are big fans of EntreLeadership. You've been through, seems like everything. You've adopted a lot of the principles and made them your own, and you're winning with them. But that's not happening here.
For sure,
And so I just want you to address that in the sense of who is it right for, who is it not right for. If someone's listening and going, okay, boy, what Bryan and Shannon are saying are making sense, but I can't get my head wrapped around it. I just want you to address that elephant there, because it is for some, it definitely works. There's no denying that. But for others, it's just something that they're not willing to do. How do you address that?
I think that even those that are not willing to do it currently, I think in the next couple of decades, they'll be forced to think through this in a greater capacity.
So you think it's a cultural trend that's going to be, why is it? What are we looking at there?
I just, we talk to hiring managers of larger corporations, and they're struggling to get people to come and work in the organization because these people want to work from home. A decade ago when you said, hey, I want to work from home, there was almost this assumption that person was lazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're in your sweatpants all day.
Yeah,
you're
your boxers or whatever.
Right, that's right.
And now we're in such a fluid environment where autonomy is valued. And I think that it's really great that an organization like this, right? They have what you do is such meaningful work, and you have an amazing culture. I just think that there's going to be a time in the future of this organization where you'll have to think that through.
Yeah,
it may not be now or for the next decade, but I just see it happening because we talk to enough people in different verticals. They're struggling with this, big and small. There's a Lifeway here in Nashville just went through a 4-year migration that sent 75% of their people home. That's 5,600 people that were affected by that.
Yeah, wow.
And it's that's not just a little tiny segment. I mean, that's big and small companies are faced with this. So I totally respect it. And sometimes it's just kind of the personality of the leader. They value having everybody together, and how they built their culture is that.
That's right.
And that's great.
Do you see advances in technology, Shannon, also making this happen faster?
Absolutely. We couldn't have had BELAY 10, 15 years ago and have it be as effective as an organization as it is now. I mean, the technology is the underpinning to make this work. It doesn't substitute communication. Right?
Yeah,
it doesn't substitute culture, it augments it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like work is changing.
Right.
It's just the location is changing, or the means by which it has always been done. This is not new. I mean, this has been going on for a while, but you guys are obviously on the forefront of this.